We're going to go ahead and move on to talking about whether or not we should keep Pagano, hopefully when we clear house. Because, Pagano came in here with a lot of expectations. Vic Fangio's defense, 2018 Bears, one of the best of the decade, right? I think that defense, it's still the best defense I've ever probably seen personally out of any team. That defense I remember so many camera pans to the other opposing team's head coaches, including guys like Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, that were just like mind blown as to how this defense was going against them. And so Vic Fangio obviously did a great job with that. We had all of his guys, his hand-picked out guys. It took a while to get there. We saw the beginnings of it back in 2017 with John Fox, and then keeping Vic Fangio was a huge win for Matt Nagy. But and while it's impossible to get that many turnovers every single year. But when Pagano came in, he took over a lot of lofty expectations. I don't think he's been bad. I think that this defense is, maybe not right now, but at the beginning of both of the seasons, they were clearly top 5 defenses in 2019 and 2020. But right now he's going through a little bit of a rut, and we saw that at the end of the 2019 season as well. While I do believe a lot of it has to do with just being absolutely gassed. I'm pretty sure they've played an entire season's worth of snaps already and having no offensive consistency. It's got to be extremely difficult, not only mentally, but physically. I do think there are reasons to critique Pagano. I don't think he's used Eddie Jackson perfectly. I think that's very clear in his interception numbers. I think that he uses a lot less aggressive coverages, I guess you could say. I don't think he's used Khalil Mack well. Khalil Mack has not seen super high numbers since he stepped in. While I do think that a lot of it has been because of just all the attention being on him, especially this year. I mean, we're missing some key pieces. We're missing Eddie Goldman more than I ever could have imagined. This team, since the beginning of the year, has missed him. I mean, he is such a key piece to our run defense. And when you have a leaky run defense, it makes pass defense that much harder. I don't know if he should be kept. I think that there are valid reasons to remove him. I don't know exactly who you bring in. I know Vic Fangio's job is still in safety, apparently. Apparently, he's still going to be able to be the head coach of the Denver Broncos. Ownership came out and said that. But the end of the day, if we're changing, offensive coaching staff, should we change defensive coaching staff? And ultimately, I think I've came to this decision that yes, we should.
Yeah, and not to completely agree with you, but I think that one of my biggest issues with Pagano is that they're not aggressive enough. And I think that when you have all these great assets on a defense, it's kind of shameful to play conservative, a lot like that we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one thing that I hate was that it was before halftime. I should have made a note of it or something. But whenever Detroit did their Hail Mary into the end zone, the fact they used Khalil Mack to bump a receiver, what's the point on that kind of play? It doesn't make any kind of sense. And then they had him rush the quarterback. So basically, I think Stafford had a 2-man rush on him. And then Khalil Mack ran in as a third, but the lineman had a good look at him.
He stunted around the first 2.
Yeah,
it was really weird.
It was very odd, and it's just why wouldn't you have Khalil Mack just rushing the whole time? The best possible situation, the best position to put someone like Khalil Mack in is allow him to just rush the passer. It's an obvious passing situation. You're not gaining anything from bumping one receiver off the line on a clear Hail Mary play. I think they feel like they were delaying something. It clearly had no effect. And it's just a representation of what happens. I mean, it's a Bears team that doesn't really like to blitz, but imagine what great sack and forced fumble numbers they could have if they blitzed more often. And they have talented enough linebackers to do that. It just does not make sense to me. I think that they play too passive, too conservative, and, it does leave them on the field. He doesn't do the Bears offense doesn't do the defense any favors by putting him on the field as much as possible. But Pagano isn't aggressive enough in getting the Bears defense off the field either. He kind of lets them just get tired and drained out of energy every game.
And I've always noticed that it seems like Pagano lets up a lot of third downs that Vic Fangio never let up. Like it seems like there's a lot more conversions at during the third down than Vic Fangio had. Now, I don't know if this is just me making it up, but that's how it seems like. And I know we still are doing good on third down percentage, but at the end of the day, it's something that you have to be a little bit concerned about. And I know that we also, it seems like we let up more big plays than we did with Vic Fangio as well. So, two things really that we can be critical on him of.
Which, not to cut you off, but if you're going to play conservative like that, there's no excuse for those big plays to happen. So
yeah, exactly.
You pick one or the other. I'd rather get burned on the occasional play, but keep the pressure on and, make the defense, make it look like the Bears offense does, where, instead of defense being on the heels, the offense is on their heels.
Yeah, I agree with that. It definitely seems as if he is a little more. It seems like this defense is still led by its talent, and it's just going to be a good defense no matter what because it has tons of talent, tons of All-Pro, tons of Pro Bowl level talent. I mean, after this year, if Roquan Smith gets his Pro Bowl nod, really the only two players on the and assuming Jalen Johnson does get a Pro Bowl nod as well. The only two players on the defense that won't have a Pro Bowl under their belts is going to be Bilal Nichols and starters, I should say, Bilal Nichols and Danny Trevathan, which are two really key pieces of ours as well. So, I mean, that just shows you how good, how talented this team really is, right? So, at the end of the day, I don't believe that because a unit is good doesn't mean that you shouldn't fire the coach. I mean, this team is highly invested in the defense. We should make a change. By the way, something we can be critical of is that Matt Nagy didn't hire Brandon Staley, who was an internal head coaching candidate who has done an amazing job with the Rams. Just as good of a job as it seems like as Vic Fangio's defenses have been. And Leonard Floyd is looking fantastic right now too. I mean, he has a lot of sacks for them. Brandon Staley looks like a huge, a great head coach, great defensive coordinator. So we probably should have went that route. Yeah,
and especially when it's internally too, it's kind of bad to miss on that. Now I understand that. Chuck Pagano is someone that has obviously head coaching experience and is a well-known defensive mind. I mean, he did great things with the Colts defense, but even when he was with the Colts, I don't know what's holding him back. I remember him being more aggressive with his blitz packages than he is with the Bears. I think he's really kind of gotten conservative, which I think is really the opposite reaction with the talent this Bears team has, especially, like you said, in coverage packages too. I mean, this is a Bears team. They could really be suffocating and then bring, blitzes as well. I mean, they would be a nightmare. But hey, I mean, he's the one that's actually the coach and drawing things up. So I guess it's his call.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think that he is limited by the offense as well. Like, you can only be so creative in the blitz packages when you're on the field for twice as long as the offense. That creativity is going to run out at some point, and you're only going to have, a certain amount of hours in the week to really draw up these and execute, good plays in practice. So while I do think he is limited in a sense, I do also believe that he, could do better. And I think that the Bears should look at potentially other options as well.
Hey guys, like our video, subscribe, and check out our bi-weekly podcast on Apple Podcasts. Thanks.